Good afternoon, everyone. It's such a privilege to be here. A, because we have a wonderful audience, but more than that, we have a book on someone who is more than a Maharaja, and that is what the title says. So I'm not going to waste your time by speaking, which I can do ad nauseum. I'm going to jump straight into it. Who am I addressing this to? Hukum, why this book? Did you allow it? Did you commission it? How did this come about?
Lots of people have been telling me over the years that there should be a book about me, that I should write it. I can't write. And ultimately, it was Aman who came up with the suggestion. He wanted to do it. And he introduced me to Yogi. Yogi, of course, is his lifelong friend who wrote a book about him. So that's how I was introduced to him. And we met and we got on well. And so I have reasonable confidence in Aman. So I said, okay, please go ahead.
So then I need to ask Aman, why the book? And more intriguingly, why this title?
You know, post-independence, there has been a very conscious effort to run down royalty, to be populist about all these matters, and we watched this happen. And it is not as if the people who are the democratic rulers of India, if you want to say, do better or worse. It's not the occasion to discuss that. But there were many royals who have contributed greatly to the growth of India. And in fact, Prime Minister Modi is now making a museum in India Gate, which is going to be a terrific museum to acknowledge what the Maharajas have done, rather than always carry the past story which is derogatory. So, but that moment of the Maharajas bedecked in jewels and, you know, all that the world wanted them to be, you know, that kind of nouveau riche wealth, that moment is also over. So the title of the book, you know, it says, A King Who Would Be Man, actually contemporizes him. We have in the audience Padmanabh, Savai Padmanabh. You know, the people who are now out on the street to do things which should be done at the level of, you know, the city, you know, their whole area. And Marwar was really a huge, huge land. And for Bapji to turn that whole thing around as a common citizen of India is what the book is about.
I would like to bring Yogi in at this point. I don't know if you're ready for it, but because you were sort of the outsider to the two of them who've known each other a long time, and you are now like a walking encyclopedia on the history of Marwar. The last couple of days, he's been spouting bits about Marwar history. We probably have a Marwar historian, you know, already made, not in the making. What brought you into the project?
Well, you know, the world knows Bapji. India knows Aman, and of course outside. Nobody knew me. So
that's not true.
A lot of people said, what the hell are you doing in the book?
Not true.
But I think as an outsider, you bring a fresh perspective. And then Bapji was generous enough to send me almost his entire archives, you know. So I spent 2 years just studying. But we didn't want to make it a mundane, statistical, you know, of everyday events. We wanted to bring out the man in him and what makes him tick, if you want to call it. Because he's immensely popular. We have traveled with him to the interiors. We went to Nagnechia temple with Hemlata ji and him. And you can see it in the faces of the people, the warmth, the respect, and the adulation they have for him. So I wanted to bring that out. Aman wanted to we said we'll do something like this to bring out the man, you know, not the king.
I think that has come out very beautifully, and I realized we fluffed a little bit on not showing the book to people, even when Maharani Sahib was up on stage.
I think it's on the screen.
Yes, Aman, but we have several copies here, so if you can see the stage, you'll see the books there. Maybe we should start with one of the images, because what you just said, you know, the man. But let's go back to the boy. you know,
You have
literally
that
born
image?
with
We
a
have that
silver.
image?
Can
we'll
we see
the
what
stage
is
here.
on that screen? If we could see it here, then we would be
Yeah,
in
we
sync.
know what
But
to
it's the silver spoon, the golden spoon, whatever. But with it came the price of Bapji losing his father at a
Yes.
very, very young age. I don't know what sort of memory you have of your father. That comes through in the book, of course. But you were very young, possibly when you had the last meeting, even if you didn't know it was. And we have an image of it which
Yeah, very telling photograph,
I
a very
cannot
poignant
see on our
one,
screen.
yeah.
I don't know if the rest of you can.
Can we have that, please?
Is there a photograph of...
The slides?
Maybe we are meant to run it. Somebody will tell us in a minute.
Anyway, I can explain it. Maybe my explanation will...
Let's wait for that and see if they're putting it.
Okay.
Because we do have this beautiful large format book, which has photographs of Amit, Pasricha and others, and I think a few from the archives which are extremely precious.
many from the archives, but Amit's photography, of course, has been brilliant, and all the gatefolds are his. So,
You won't see us doing it from here, but if the screen is on, do let us know. If it's not, we will carry on talking until the visuals appear.
I have another idea.
You do?
No, because
Show the book.
I don't know if it's in sync with that picture. I will put it.
You need someone to focus on your book then as you show it.
I don't know if this is the picture that you're seeing.
yes. Well, this photograph actually is a very moving photograph, because this shows his father Harmanth Singh and the infant Gajsingh sitting like strangers. They both didn't realize that it was almost like waiting for fate to forecast their future and to very soon toss them into different worlds. And they didn't realize that these were the last moments of togetherness before the fatal plane crash when his father perishes, you know. And this, so I wrote 4 lines that if past deeds and destiny dictate your birth, if there is a plan, then this paradox is resolved for its worth. A 4-year-old becomes father of the clan. So this is Bapji's, turnaround, that pivotal moment in his life when the crown at the age of 4, but a heavy burden falls on him. That was...
We will come back to this, to also when he eventually grows up and comes back to
to-
Marwar as the grown-up who voluntarily takes up the duty that has,
Yes.
devolved on him. But if I may, at this point, your mother has been a very strong influence, and I think she's the one who saw you through this time and took decisions that helped shape you into becoming what you are. So it's our moment to pay homage to the late Rajmata Sahab of Marwar Jodhpur. But would you like to share some of your memories?
My mother was a remarkable woman. She was very quiet and dignified. She had an inner strength. She didn't show it on the outside. And she went through a very tragic life. Married at 16, and she was widowed at 20 something. And that time she had 3 children, myself, age 4, and my elder sisters, 2 or 3 years older than me. And she single-handedly brought us up in a very traditional environment. It's a very, the old Rajwada, the court. My grandmother was the matriarch, and there was the extended family, and it was full of intrigue. At the same time, it was full of love. My grandmother also taught me a lot about who I am and what my role in life should be and what my connection with the people and the land should be. But it was my mother who taught me the values of life, taught me humility, taught me kindness, taught me to be humble and generous. And it was her that instilled all the values in me and taught me what my role in life was, what was expected of me, and what the people of Jodhpur thought, and what Marwar meant to me and what I should be now stepping into the shoes of my father, which was impossible. But in the same time, circumstances, times had changed, and she took this very brave decision of sending me abroad at the age of 8. And she took my sisters out of Jodhpur to places where there were good schools, in Uti and in Pune. And she wanted to educate us well. She wanted me to be out of the palace environment to get a reality on life. The times had changed. And that's why she sent me to Jodhpur and she sent me to England against the wishes of generally the family. But she got support from a brother and the Maharaja of Marwar, who himself was an Oxford man, and he did all the arrangements for my education and remained in England while I was there for a short time.
So she was a remarkable woman in having taken that decision. But you have a family of remarkable women who we will come to in a minute. Just a line on your grandmother also, because I believe at one point she went to Bikaner and there had been long history. They are part of the Jodhpur clan, but there had been a history in which way back 500 years ago or something, the Jodhpur forces, Marwar forces had gone against Bikaner. And it's in the book I did on the late Maharaja Karni Singh Ji of Bikaner, where he has put on tape. He says when she came, she said, Karni beta, bring me a trowel and bring me cement, and I will personally, we don't use cement now, but I will personally cover all the cannon holes or cannon damage. And he says, you know, it was these strong women who knew how to bring about peace. So you have these strong women, and your mother took this decision to send you away. I believe she also got into, everyone into using the term we all use for you, Bapji.
Yes.
Because I met somebody who had either he had been at school with you or his brother had, Tristram someone, it's been a long time ago. And he said, you know, he was Bapji for us also. So how did you feel about one of the many Maharajas, of course, at school, but even that one, each of you have to face it yourself. How did that feel?
What, being called Bapji?
Feeling the prince, but the prince among, you see, you were a prince. You were a Maharaja here, but you were a prince at school. You did go to the wrong university, but that's not your fault. But
No, Bapji actually means revered father.
yes, it does.
So
But-
when you're 4 years old and 269 Thakurs, Thikanas, Rajas call you Bapji, you know, he could have lost his head.
well, we will.
No,
that-
Bapji is a very common term in the families of Rajasthan.
yes.
It's used in all families. And in my family, it was used for my father, but he had brothers. So they were independently known. Bada Bapji was my father, and the rest were Bichla Bapji, my uncle, Hazur Bapji, Kabir Bapji, by their names, Robin Bapji.
And more intimately, it becomes Data within your
Yeah.
own
And so
intimate
then
family.
when my mother decided that she didn't want a nickname to stick with me, I had a nickname of Mukul, and people used to call me. And so she started calling me Bapji herself,
Yes.
and therefore everybody else started that. And that was the name I gave as my nickname to my friends in England. My grandmother, she had her own take on this, and she used to call me Bapu. And,
Charlie is the father
yeah,
of man.
Yes. So that's how it happened. And in the long run, it stood
So-
by me well.
How did it feel talking about the past with someone you've known a long time, with someone you've got to know, and reliving the past? Maybe I should be asking Aman, Yogi, who would
I
like
just
to come
want to take a point you said about strong women. So Hemlata ji here told us that when she got married and came from Dehradun the first time home, and he introduced her to his mother and sisters, and he told her, these three women are what I am today. They are responsible for it. So you see that gratitude was right there. And when Aman and I started doing this book, we first went to Poonch 2.5 years ago, because Hemlata ji is from Poonch. See, that part has never been written about. And the women, it's a patrilineal, we all know that. But we thought the women have been very strong. What about these silent but strong voices behind the screen? They must be brought forward. So we have a chapter on his grandmother, Badan Kanwar. We have on his mother, Krishna Kumari. We have on Hemlata ji, of course. We have on Shiv Ranjani, who is now actually holding the reins and doing an awesome job. But she's as elusive as the water in Rajasthan. She never gave me a personal interview. But
I shall take credit for this because I blackmailed her and terrorized her that if she didn't come to Jaipur, we'll kidnap her.
Well, Bapji did make sure she went to the right university, but, oh yes, of course, the other place. But you might want to talk about the other chapters because you mentioned a few on, you know.
Yeah, it's very interesting that when we met his older sister, Chandresh Kumari ji, who is now, Bapji, she's about 90 now? No, 80 something, Chandresh ji? 80. Crossed 80. And the first thing she sat us down, Aman and me, and she said, there's a curse on this family. So that was a bit alarming because, you know, but there was this, when Mehrangarh fort, the foundation was being laid, they chose, of course, the vantage point. And there was a sadhu, Chidiya Babaji Maharaj, a very, you know, he was immersed in his dhuni, which is praying to the Shiv Ling. And the Raja's soldiers came and said, "Yahan se hato, yahan diwar aani hai kile ki." He said, "Meri tapasya bhang mat karna, kyunki acha nahi hoga." But they didn't listen. They said, "Ye farman hai Raja ka, hato yahan se." So he gave a curse that Jodhpur mein jis pani ke liye, because there was a little jharna there where he used to do his dhuni. He said, jis pani ke liye tumne mujhe hataya hai, ye tumhari trishna banegi, tum iske liye taras jaoge. And consequently, Jodhpur suffered for it. There was also a curse that, you know, the Maharajas
But
won't
Yogi,
live long.
these are things that, you know, many things happen and don't happen. For him, when water is already at 500 feet, I mean, where would you say it's going to become Chirapunji?
Yeah.
So I asked Bapji about this. He says it weighs on your mind, but you know, if somebody tells you you're going to die within 1 week, you don't start getting frazzled. You know,
Don't you? I would. I think.
You mustn't, you know, absolutely.
But so let's come to that state of mind. You go away to university. You keep coming back every winter, I guess. But then there's a point where you completed your education, you come back.
That's amazing.
I don't know, had you thought of being anyone other than the Maharaja of Marwar Jodhpur? Had you thought of a possible career?
No, I think that's one thing that because of the circumstances of my succession and the way I was conditioned, that is something that I always knew. And I always stayed with it, and I didn't shy away from it like others did. I accepted the role. Circumstances may have changed,
Right.
but that was me, and I had my traditional responsibilities, which I had to adhere to.
Right, sir. But you grew up knowing the responsibilities.
Yes.
But when you finally return, or whatever the final one, when you are there, when you're an adult.
No, when I returned, it was perhaps since 1956. I came back and was 2 years at home. And that was probably the longest time I'd been away from England. And then when I went back, I was apprehensive what my friends would think and whether we would still have the same memories and so on. And that was completely cleared because when we met, it was as if we met like yesterday and nothing had changed. And we laughed at the same jokes and had all
Did
this.
you not want to become an architect?
No, that was part of my education. I would have carried on my education and maybe done a degree in America. Was one of the ideas.
But you have this in common with Ratan Tata, who also was shying away from being the Tata heir, and he wanted to be an architect. So when Bapji comes back eventually, he looked like Elvis Presley. He had long sideburns.
You need to see the book.
Yes.
Yeah, and we have a whole chapter on the homecoming. I
Yeah,
think
I was talking
Bapji,
about
wasn't
that.
that the time the tracks literally changed where you realized?
No, that's what's in the book. He looks like Elvis Presley, and he gets news. when he reaches, what was that railway station?
Khatu.
At Khatu, yeah,
Khatu.
Shamji, he gets news that there's thousands of people waiting. So he gets out of his trousers and he dresses up as a Rajasthani. So he arrives Rajasthanis, and then what would have
Aren't you
been...
giving away too many secrets?
No,
or are they
it's
already
all
in the book?
It's all in the book.
It's all in the book.
But he should have taken 15 minutes from the railway station, and if people who don't know could never guess that it took him 12 hours to get from the railway station to his house. And then he knew this was his calling.
No, the local, my mother had organized the palace people to arrange a reception for me at the railway station. But there were some citizens on that committee, and they ultimately took over. And they said, we are going to do it, and that's how it happened. So it became a city affair. And they insisted that I drive through the old city. My first stop was going to be the Chamunda Mandir at the fort. And I drove through the old city in a jeep. And reached Chamunda Mandir, then went to my Raikabag, where my grandmother lived. And then finally to Umaid Bhawan. That whole thing took about 12 hours. But I must finish off your earlier question about the friends and being away from India. When I met those friends, they were, as happens to all students around that time, 2 years out of university, one is very uncertain with one's life. What is one? And they had the same thoughts, and they were all dithering around, not knowing exactly what they were doing and where they were going. And there it struck me that I have something. I have something to do. I have something to go to. And that is what I should be doing. And that's what made me even stronger in my resolve to return.
No, but you know, this book actually started in my mind when one day Bapji told me an absolutely incredible story about how he met his wife, and Hemlataji's grandmother was living in a house in Dehradun, and a gentleman who had been appointed the regent, what was he? Thakur...
Harpreet Singh.
The administrator of Jodhpur, because he was a child, he was studying there, moves into the next house. So they become friends, and she suggests that she should marry him. So her grandmother is a bit, not knowing what Marwar is, etc., is not, like really impressed with the idea, hoga koi ladka sort of thing. So one day he stops her on a walk, and he has his walking stick, and he makes a circle on the ground, and he says, this is Marwar, and this is Punch.
The point was Punch.
The point was Punch. So I think that point was made, and the book ends, I can tell it to you because not everybody's going to buy it, but you should, because it is a kind of heirloom book. So the big plan that Yogi and I had was to take Hemlataji and Bapji, who have never been to Punch.
Even Hemlataji has never been to Punch, which is sad because it's a stunning
I said
place.
to her
That's
that
the
you
next
will,
book.
No, you will go to Punch, and because it's ringed by the Himalayas, and you will take a walking stick and you say, this is Punch and this is Marwar. But it didn't happen.
Well, it can still happen.
Well,
but let's come to what has happened since you came, you finally returned to India. Privy purses have gone. You've taken up voluntarily, but also with full spirit, vigor, everything. You've taken up your duties, your role. And you've been doing that in many fields. Water, all your jal-related, many other activities. Would you like to speak on that? Would you?
No, it was actually, the penny dropped. I had taken the long way home. So when I left university, the right university, with two friends, we decided to drive back to India. And this was in 1970. And we overland. And when we reached Tehran, there was a telegram from my mother. In those days, there were telegrams saying you have to come back because Mrs. Gandhi is getting very aggressive and our future is at stake. So that's when I left the boys and flew back to India. And I came back at a very crucial time, into 1970, November. In 71, we got de-recognized, and everything turned around. So the whole, from being privileged citizens, we were looked down on, and we were looked, the press, the media, the politics was all against us. And life was not easy. There was no income, because my family had never gone into business, and we just had large properties to maintain, a big staff to maintain, and no regular income. So that is when my sisters really helped my mother, and we had to pull things together. And that is when I had to rearrange and restructure the whole setup into making trusts and companies and so on. And not only to perform one's duty through the trusts and the foundations, but also to survive.
Well, yes, because you have this responsibility to what you stand for, to that inheritance, but you have responsibilities to your immediate family. And I recall, at that point, there were all kinds of articles, but one of them was about cycle polo being played at Jodhpur instead of the older days of proper polo. That was just one of the things that they talked about. Yes, there was Hathi polo by the tourism department in Jaipur, which is not the quite thing. But just to keep that spirit, somebody had written about, instead of having a whole stable full of horses that you could have had, it wasn't possible. So you were all making do with the thinking for the best way forward, setting up the trusts. And I'm looking at the audience who I think will have questions, but before we do this, has it ever felt like a burden to you?
The 70s was a big burden.
Gee.
It was really tough. And that was actually relieved in 1978 when I had this opportunity of being sent as a diplomat to Trinidad and Tobago, a wonderfully lively country with good music, cricket, and the Caribbean. So that was...
We definitely need to think about, because this large format book which has captions which are almost like a full article and then articles with it. But you're actually the Maharaja with many caps also, because you have been a trustee, you've taken over water, you've been building roads.
No, I am not the Maharaja.
A diplomat?
I'm not the Maharaja.
A former member of parliament?
I'm the small man which Aman has put in the corner of that book. And he's promoted the monumental palace built by my grandfather. So that is the cover of the book. I am just a little guy on the end.
No, I think one of the endearing qualities is to recognize that in this large universe, you've done your bit. But it's not been easy doing it. And I know we have...
I've not done my bit. Fortunately, things have worked and come. We have a flourishing hotel and we have a flourishing museum. And the trusts are doing well. We're able to help people in various spheres. But I think I could have done much better also.
I think your name had your destiny in it. Was Gajsingh means elephant lion, actually, if you want.
Elephant and lion. It's a formidable composition.
Yeah, so the lion is a symbol of kingship, and the elephant, when it goes on rampage, you can't stop it. So in the book, we have two chapters. One is called Elephant of a Man, which he is, and the other one is, there's one other...
white elephant part of inheriting...
Inheriting white elephants.
Yes, yeah.
Those were the,
see, I have read the book.
7, we picked out 7. But before we wrap up, I think we're running out of time. Bapji.
We have some time for questions, and I will make sure that...
I just have one confession
sure.
to make, Bapji. When Aman and I started doing this book, and you were generous enough to let us peep through your, the archives, so we were hoping to find some scandal, some dirty linen, in all that, but thinking that Bapji is going to offer us hush money and the book is going to soar in sales. Nothing like that happened.
He said he
was squeaky
trusted us.
clean,
No,
which is disappointing.
I cleared it all out before marriage. But there was one thing which I hadn't cleared out, which I kept personally in my personal possession, was an album of my time in Oxford and my girlfriends, which she did find.
There's also a story which you've never given the ending of apparently you and another, later an ex-royal, because all your privy purses get taken away, possibly being stopped by a policeman for speeding. You didn't give me the ending of it. I will ask you afterwards. But I think Baijilal Jodhpur Marwar might well want to hear the end of that story, because we both wanted to know that. I will leave everyone on this cryptic note, and with the permission of the authors and the subject of the book, open it to questions. We have a lot more to say, and I do want to give you all the last words, but
I just want to say that I see a lot of friends out there in the audience and supporters. I want to thank them for being here.
thank you for that. And if you have a question to ask, do identify yourselves. If you don't, we can keep going for the next 3 days.
No, the
Sanjoy,
first
Willie, are you
question
open with
takes a
that?
time. There's a hand there.
There's a hand there. We see you. There's a hand here, fourth row. Please identify yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Kaustubh Joshi, and I'm visiting from Bombay for the Literature Festival. First of all, congratulations to Aman and Yogi both for writing this book. I have two questions, one for the authors and one for Gajsingh ji. My question for the authors is that there's a lot of social responsibility amongst the royal families. So I've seen even Pacho is here, Diya Kumari, even Holkars of Indore and Sindhyas of Gwalior. They are all doing a lot of social work. So other than that, what is the common thread that connects the royal families of India and sort of bonds them together? That's my question to the authors. And to Gajsingh ji, the question is that sometimes a lot of good work that is being done by you being in the through the virtue of the position that you are in, the credit of it is taken by the government. So the relationship with government and political parties is somewhat contradictory as well as collaborative. So how do you deal with this challenge of, the mayor, the chief ministers, trying to take credit of what you have done?
Bapji, would you like to respond first? Or? Aman?
Well, I thought the first question should have been to Bapji, really, because we are not the royals. But I do remember that whole period which Bapji is talking about, because we met in the 70s when we used to go disco dancing at the Tabela at the Oberoi. So these things were not on our mind, not history, not its burdens, but that whole period of the Chamber of Princes, when the princes needed to unite to put up a united front against the government, the Swaraj party and so on, Swatantra party, sorry. That period was really a sad period because all the royals had to come together with their woes. And there was nobody to support them, and the government was bent upon being populist and nationalizing things and all that followed. But I think there's a cycle. Like everybody who plans something negative against somebody has a whole cycle that comes back. What's going to happen in America, if I may say. You can't just bully people. You can't just have too much fun because it catches up with you somewhere. So I think what united the royals beyond that, the crises.
70, 71, beyond. What were the common points that were, that's your question, right? That were bringing the people who suddenly became de-recognized together?
First of all, we had an organization at that time to fight in Parliament and in the courts against the de-recognition that was looming large. It was known as the Concord for Princes. It was a very fine organization and included everybody. And we managed to win that crucial vote in Rajya Sabha by 1/3 of a vote that didn't allow for the constitutional amendment. And Mrs. Gandhi then had to go for the constitutional amendment. So anyway, then, that society fell apart afterward because what it was set up for had not happened. But we are all connected. We meet. The most most we meet is at weddings. So that is one connection that we have amongst ourselves. And the other is that we all consider and value our responsibility as leaders of society within our own territories. And we have really recognized that, and we all work for that. And that is what keeps us united. We also come together in education. The Mayo College, all the patrons are from Rajasthan, and a few from out of Rajasthan, like Kashmir. And that is a time when we all get together in the management of the school and how to take things forward. So
There was a girl within a zebra. Yeah.
Well, before she gets the mic, I just want to say one thing I remember about, give her the mic in the meantime, about this period was a statement made around that time when the derecognition, when everything was happening, 71 December in Parliament, by possibly H.H. Kapurthala, if he was fighting, Suket was, the Maharaja of Colonel Bhavani Singh Ji of Jaipur was fighting, that there they were fighting for India in the 1971 war against Pakistan. And at that time, they were also losing their, because I think Patiala also was there.
Yes.
And that was the time they're being derecognized.
They put the Maharaja of Jaipur in jail.
Subsequently, they did indeed. But at the time that the derecognition happened, he was literally in enemy territory fighting for India. So it's one of those things of how...
Therefore, to answer the question of the gentleman over there, that we do what we do, not because we want recognition. Doesn't matter what the government thinks, but the people know it. We get people recognition. And there is a funny story about what he said, is claiming when we did these water bodies and the water harvesting, the government also took up the project of water harvesting, and the panchayats went into it in a big way. And then I was told by my field workers that the local MLA was coming and putting his signs on our water bodies. So I said, let him.
The lady with the mic, please identify yourself.
Good afternoon all, I'm Neha. My question was to the panel in general. What are your takes on caste pride?
Caste and pride.
Caste pride.
Caste pride. Is there a caste pride? What are your views on caste pride?
Yes, but we as Rajputs are very proud of our heritage, and we like to maintain that we have fought for the nation, and we have fought to keep our dignity, and we've kept our religion intact. And it is one of the reasons that India never became a Muslim country like our neighbors. But as far as caste is concerned, it's very clear in my upbringing that caste was never an issue. And I was always taught that the king has no caste. And my father, when he first attended, during his grandfather's time, when he first attended office in the Mehkama Khas, the secretariat, an application was given to him by a lady who was standing at the door. And he said, "Who is that lady?" So the Chaprasi said, "She's an Harijan." He said, "No, that doesn't matter. Send her in." She had to come and deliver the application herself, which he got the application from her directly. So that was the way we looked at caste. And we still want to have total harmony amongst castes in Jodhpur. And Jodhpur prides itself on communal harmony. And yeah.
So we are running out of time. I think we have time for one more question. But then I would like the three of you to have the last sentence, if not the last word. With anyone else first? I think they're still taking it in. There's a hand back there. Two questions very quickly. We can answer them in one go. And I think we can go for another couple of sessions. Should we just stay on here? What do you say, Hukum? Go right
Hello,
ahead. Yeah.
my name is Sarita Katyar and I'm principal for Ryan International School here in Mansdover. As far as sir is concerned, Mr. Gajsingh, my dad was posted in Jodhpur and I missed seeing him. So I was very, very glad that I finally happened to see him. Great honor. I mean,
You
it
can
has
get a
taken-
copy of his book for your library.
Definitely. It's been 25 years back when I was in Jodhpur Air Force Station, and now it's today. So it's a great feeling. I'm quite overwhelmed. So my question to you would be, this was a kind of a discussion which we had with some of my friends who came to Jaipur, and they were asking me that she would like to read some tarot cards and all, how to become part of royal family in her next birth. So
Thank
it
you.
just came into my mind. Sir, would you like to be born again as a royal in your next, in the present scenario, or how is it?
I'd like to be born in the royal in the next session, but not in the present scenario, like my grandfather with the full powers to do things.
It's like with Indian time, it's not linear, it's cyclical. You never know, you might go back into the past. I think we are out of time. Did we have a hand? Just ask quickly, which side am I looking there? Mike, quickly, please. And keep it to a question, please.
नमस्कार सर, अयोध्या प्रसाद नाम है मेरा, मैं मारवाड़ जोधपुर से ही हूँ। पत्रकारिता में जब मैं रहा, हर चुनाव में एक एक्सपेक्टेशन होनी थी कि आप या आपके परिवार से कोई चुनाव में खड़ा होगा, बिकॉज यू हैव ऑल द एक्सपेक्टेशंस फ्रॉम पीपल बट नॉट द पावर। तो क्या आपके परिवार में से जो लोगों की, क्या चुनाव में कभी कोई पार्टिसिपेट करेगा? डेमोक्रेटिक जो प्रोसेस है उसमें।
नहीं, मेरे परिवार में सब ने पार्टिसिपेट किया है। मेरे फादर सबसे पहले इलेक्शन में खड़े हुए थे, न केवल खड़े हुए थे, पूरा मारवाड़ को ऑर्गेनाइज किया था और 35 सीटों में से 32 सीट्स उन्होंने जीती, 4 पार्लियामेंट्री सीट्स इंक्लूडिंग हिज ओन उन्होंने जीती। दैट वाज इन द हाइट ऑफ द पावर ऑफ कांग्रेस इन 1952। माय मदर स्टूड इन 1971 against the wave of Indira Gandhi as an independent, and she won also. I was a member of the Rajya Sabha for 2 years. I saw it from close and I decided I didn't like it. So I prefer to do
I
things.
think you've done more outside.
And then my sister
She was
also stood from Jodhpur and as a member of the Congress, and she also won from there. So the family has been in politics. I myself found politics to be very divisive, and being a traditional leader, I felt that being divisive, in fact, all my family has been independents, and as independents, there's not much you can do. So I decided that it's much better to do one's own things, work through foundations and NGOs, and be above party politics, so that all people feel that they have a ear to one and can come and meet one.
थैंक यू। मॉडरेटर बनने की एक मुश्किलात ये होती है कि आपके बहुत सारे फ्रेंड्स बाद में फ्रेंड्स नहीं रहते, क्योंकि हाथ फ्रेंड्स नहीं भी हो, जो भी ऑडियंस के हैं वो कहते हैं इसने हमको पूछने का मौका नहीं दिया। इस बार भी माफ़ी चाहते हैं। You will not have a chance to ask more questions because otherwise the next group is going, and before that I'll get disinvited.